Welcome to VersaCounts. In this short session, we'll show you how easy it is to enter a bill from your supplier and then make a payment in line with the terms and conditions you've agreed with that supplier. To enter a bill from a supplier, we simply go to the Bills menu option, select New Bill, and type in the first few letters of the supplier's name, and we choose them there. Next, we choose the bill date. The bill date defaults, and we can change it to the date on the bill itself. When added to the payment terms in the next field, we can also therefore calculate the day on which the bill is due. We type in the supplier's invoice number, their unique invoice number, and VersaCounts actually checks to make sure that each invoice you enter is unique to that particular supplier. We can type in an internal reference if we want, we can change the currency if we want, but at that point we'll simply create the bill header. Once the bill header has been accepted into the system, we can scroll down and begin to enter the line items that appear on the invoice. Now, VersaCounts has an excellent feature that allows you to select your line items directly from a purchase receipt that you've already taken into inventory. Saves you typing all the line items in independently. And in this case, what we can do is we can select the shipments that this particular invoice relates to. We can select it, and the form will auto-populate with this particular order that's already in the system. It saves you entering all of the line items individually and uniquely, and is a real time-saving device. If there's been a reason, for example, to change the unit cost, maybe the quality wasn't what you originally agreed it was with the supplier, you can change the unit cost, but we're just going to accept and create this line item. It's worth pointing out at this point that we selected based on a shipment that has been received, but you can also select to populate the line items based, for example, on a purchase order, such as when you have raised a purchase order for a service item and you want to match this invoice with that purchase order. It is also possible at this point to link this purchase invoice directly with a project that you may be working on. If, for example, we wanted to tie this into the Skyline project, the refurbishment of the Skyline Hotel, we can select the project at that point. We could, of course, have entered that when we did the shipment or when we did the purchase order. When we're finished with this particular set of entries, we can scroll up. We can check the line item and the header one last time, and we could at this point post the invoice. What I will point out at this point is if this was a one-off invoice, we could have gone directly to post and pay this invoice by entering the payment date, an internal reference, the account that you would be paying from, and the method on which you would pay. Many businesses prefer to avoid that, either because a different person is usually responsible for making the payment, or they tend to pay a whole bunch of supplier invoices together, or the payment might not even be due yet. So we're just going to post this invoice at this point. We select yes, we want to post this bill. And at that point, the posting of the invoice is complete. Okay, so now we're going to make the payment. We just go to Bills and Make Payment on the menu structure, and it couldn't be simpler. We start off by selecting the bank account out of which we're going to pay and the date on which we're going to make the payment. Should this be a currency situation, we deal with a few details here, but this is not the case in this example. So we'll select Mattress House as our supplier. And for the purposes of this example, we're going to send them a wire transfer. We're going to expedite the payment, and we can enter the reference for that wire transfer. And you'll see that by default, all of the open bills, the bills that have gone through the system and are due to be paid, appear on the screen. for the purposes of this example, I'm going to only select the one that we just entered, the $250, but also this one here. It includes a feature that I just wanted to show, and that is, here's the invoice, here's the line item that we're paying on the invoice that we just entered, the $250. But on that second invoice, that consisted of 2 line items. And what VersaCount allows you to do is to select to pay only one of the 2 line items if you need to. There might be a situation where you receive some goods from a supplier and you have a dispute over one of the line items, but the other item was received successfully, and you might just choose to pay only one line item. So a really nice feature. It couldn't be easier to pay your bills. They come up all ready for you to select, and we simply click on post payment disbursement and the payment is complete. So just to recap, we entered an invoice, we selected a shipment that had been received, upon which to match that invoice. We were able to change the price if we wanted to. We chose not to. Once the invoice had been entered, we simply went to the payment screen, chose the appropriate invoice or invoices from the due payments list and selected to pay them. And that concludes the demonstration on entering a purchase invoice and paying it.